Hello, hello. Pretty sure my audio's good. Haven't used this damn thing in over a week. Haven't changed any settings. So I took off. I spent exactly 7 days off of social media. I didn't post anything. I didn't make any comments. I didn't do anything. So it was a good break. I got a lot of things done. Should have took longer, but I just can't stay away. You already know. Yeah, man. Love this coffee. So I like the break too. 7 days was good. I'll drink to that. But we've got too much to work. We got too much to work through. We got a lot of stuff to get through. Archaics veterans, prepare to have your mind blown. You've seen some of this material. A lot of it you haven't. You sure as hell haven't seen it presented like this. And this is the very first time that I'm actually going through the entire Phoenix chronology. I've gone through all my side files and ancillary notes, put all this together. It's abbreviated, but we're starting from the very beginning. Every Phoenix episode, the exact year it happened and what year it was in 2 different calendars, all the way to the present day. That's the first data set. I misspoke. I told you guys I was going to present 3 independent data sets that all lead to the conclusion that 2040 is the next reset date. I lied. Wasn't a lie. It was a fib. I didn't mean to misspeak, but it's actually 4 independent data sets. And by what I mean by independent is they have no correlates between them. So we're going to be reviewing that real quick. All right. Thank you, moderators. I know you didn't have much to do this past 7-8 days. It was 8 days ago. Was the last time I did a video. And right after that video, almost as soon as I was done with that video, I was going to do another video the next day and the day after that for Cypher Community for Archaics Underground. Right after finishing that last video, which was on the Ark, so much hit me. I was like, whoa, it's all Ark related. It's all Great Pyramid related, Phoenix related. It's all Enoch related. I'm like, damn, I hit on so many topics on last Friday's video about, the true origin, where we got the idea of the Ark, how it came out of Egypt, why it was developed in Egypt, what it means, how it's connected to the Great Pyramid and Enoch and the concept of Exodus. All of that, it just opened too many doors. I have thousands of files, but I just knew where to go. So right after that video, I was putting this video together. This video was put together a week ago. So I was like, oh my God, but I can't just drop something like this right after that one. I have to let that one play out. And I did. You saw how that video's gone. People have gone back, and I know many of you have gone back and re-listened to it over and over and over. I know because I see my watch hours. I see the analytics. It's that video basically is it's paradigm shattering. But this one is too. So they just couldn't be back to back. They couldn't be back to back. Yes, starts in 39 and culminates in 40. Is that Fibonacci Colaci? What a name. That's not the name I know you by. I recognize your face right here, but that is not the name I know you by. All right. Abuelo Loco, I see you in the chat with Jahara and Pamela and Nancy. Crystal Pistol, Lacey, Brad Long, I see you. Aaron 1080. All right, guys. I'm not doing a full call out. Jasmine, I know Jasmine and Allie, I know you guys are in there somewhere. All right. So let's see here. We need to get this started. So the Shopify is down. I took it off of YouTube. Got a lot of emails, people bothering me about all this stuff. Listen, man, don't panic. I took it off of YouTube. I also took it offline. It's temporary. I had to move all the merchandise from Cheryl's place because she moved to Arizona, and I brought it here, and I have it all in my library right now. And I have this huge desk in my library that I've cleared off, and I'm going to use that for the archaic store. And I'm slowly going to bring it back online because I have to train myself on how to do this. I don't know how to do it. So Cheryl's going to be talking to me over the phone and walking me through. She says it's basically simple, and I will bring items up online and go through the mailing because I have everything here. I got my stamp machines, I got my t-shirt press, I got everything here. But this needs to be done very carefully. It's just another thing that I should be doing on my own anyway. I'm not going to bring the full store back online. I'm not. It's just too much of a hassle. It's not worth the trouble. But I do have a lot of merchandise I'm going to be clearing out before I cancel the whole Shopify store. I still got a lot of data drives on all kinds of amazing stuff, and I'll probably be giving bulk deals. If you just want a whole bunch of drives and you want to pay one price, I'm going to be giving people deals just to clear this out, to get it out of my space, because I'm trying to move forward, and doing it with a store is not the way, not for me. But I still got posters, chart packs, stickers, mugs. I still got shirts, hats, and I still got all kinds of stuff, guys. I'm going to clear this stuff out. Oh, I got a whole bunch of books. Yeah, I had just received 2 shipments full of all my published books from my publisher. So I just opened those boxes. So I got all these books I got to get rid of too. And then I'm done. For in the future, these are all signed copies. In the future, y'all are just going to have to order your books from Booktree in San Diego or from Amazon, wherever you're at in the world, because it's just way too much stress and drama trying to do a store. Well, the return, if the return was higher, it'd be different. But then I would have to charge exorbitant prices, and that's not me. I'm not about that. So, you know what? All good things come to an end. Remember, I tell you guys a lot, my peace is not for barter. And if there's anything I'm doing in my life that's not bringing me that peace, then it's going to disrupt my flow. It's going to disrupt me being in that zone where I'm just like, I'm going to get in the zone here in this video when I'm just flowing with these facts. So yeah, the store is killing my peace. I am, hey, Errol, I am cognizant that there are 2 or 3 people in other countries, which I hate mailing to other countries because I can't stand all the red tape and paperwork, and yeah, but it's worth it because I've had 2 or 3 people contact me from like Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, who want very large packages. They just want me to shove a whole bunch of archaics merchandise in boxes, give me one lump sum, and have me mail it out. That's worth my time because I'm getting rid of my stock. And I'm blessing somebody with a whole bunch of extra stuff, and it's all one lump payment. I just go to Federal Express or DHL just one time, give them the big old box, give them the address, pay the postage, and it's done. That's so much easier than all these little micro packages going out in thousands of different directions. I can't do it. I won't do it. So if you're interested in a big old box of all different stuff and you live in another country, even the United States, just email me, archaics138@gmail.com. Got a whole lot of books and drives and stuff. Now, all right, let's go. Let's get on with this. Let me get this, remove this. We got some amazing stuff to look at. All right. So these are not supposed to be in that order, but that's okay. All right. So the first part, data set number 1, you're going to read on the screen with me. For those new to my channel, you have no idea what we're talking about. Listen, I feel for you, but we can't slow down. We can't slow down. It's easy to catch up. Just go to the Phoenix playlist. Easy to catch up. Data set number 1. So big. So I'm going to drink to it. Every single data set, all 4 of them, I'm drinking to that. For those of you who have copies of Chronicon, or if you have read any of my published books on the Phoenix, you will know that 4309 BC is the very beginning of the Phoenix chronology. So it's the first appearance of Phoenix. It is actually 414 years before a whole different year of the world timeline that was famous 2,000 years ago, called the Anno Mundi calendar. Originally the Annus Mundi calendar, but that began in 3895 BC. It is year 1 of the pre-flood world. It's year 1 of the book of Genesis, the Adam and Eve reset. Well, when a new heavens and a new earth appeared, and later Jews in Babylon, going through the Babylonian Enuma Elish records and the Atrahasis and the Karsag tablets, they misunderstood what they were reading, and they thought Adam was a person when they were reading Adamu, when it meant mankind. Mankind was destroyed. In those cuneiform records, it literally says mankind was destroyed in its 930th year. They mistook that and put Adam died in his 930th year, and the sun darkened, but it didn't. The sun darkened in 4309 BC. This date here, this begins the Phoenix timeline. This is the subject matter of the Gnostic text, Trimorphic Protenoi, also on the origin of the world, which talks about the Phoenix. So the Phoenix first appearance is 930th year after the Nemesis cataclysm, which began all human timelines. Anunnaki year 1 was 5239 BC, as I've shown in many presentations. So this is the year the Phoenix appears in the 930th year of Anno Nur calendar, which began 5239 BC. As the Apen in 4309 BC, the Phoenix appears and is recorded in Sumerian text as the Apen. Now, in Egyptian text, it's recorded as the Pen deity. This is the Phoenix. In ancient Egypt, the world is destroyed. The Adamu are wiped out. Phoenix is titled the keeper of the calendar. It's also said to keep that the Phoenix appears to keep the archons in check. It is the instrument of creation, destruction, reset cycle. The very earliest reference to a cataclysm on Earth is the 930th year of the Anno Nur system. 930 being 138 plus 792. Archaics veterans, you know those numbers. 138 is the Phoenix periodicity. 792 is the periodicity of the Nemesis X object. They both come from Nemesis system. Remember, originally the sky had 2 suns. This is the origin of both Phoenix and Nemesis X. So 414 years later, if you see a number in blue, every single number you see in blue is a Phoenix number. So pay attention as we move through the thread of history. 3895 BC is year 1. The stellosphere completely shifts. Oceans slip their basins. Total systemic reset. Adam and Eve Genesis reset is complete. This is 414 Anno Phoenix, or 414 years from 4309 BC, which is year 1 of the Phoenix timeline. So remember, in prior presentations, we talked about the cursed earth system, and it was measured in 414-year periods. And I am not the one that discovered this. So those new to my channel, you have to understand, no dates that you see anywhere in my research were dated by me. I provide all of my source materials. This video does not cover all of the source materials. For that, you need to look at my published books. For that, you need to review my Phoenix playlist, where I provide them and actually show the books where this information came out of. All I did was discover the timeline. So 2653 BC is 1242 Anno Mundi. That means AM means anytime you see an AM date, That specifically means that's how many years it's been since the Adam and Eve total systemic reset, which created a new heavens and a new earth because the world was totally destroyed. And the survivors came out on this side of the reset, seeing that the stars had moved and the sun and moon moved in different paths across the sky. Everything was changed. Oceans slipped their basins. It was terrible. Like I said, if you look in the playlist, you'll get subscription, you'll get descriptions, source materials, ancient texts, traditions, legends, citations from religious texts that talk about all these dates. You're not getting that here. This is a summary of a most profound chronology in its 4 data sets, independent data sets, that's going to conclude that the next reset is 2040. So this is 2653 BC. It is the 1242nd year of the pre-flood world. In Ireland, we have a poisonous inundation of the sea, and the 7 lakes overflowed the land. Zechariah Sitchin records at this date a major disaster for the world in this period within a 5-year span. He quoted this date plus or minus 5 years. This is the year 1656 Anno Phoenix, or 1656 years from 4309 BC. What's not on here is that this is the beginning of a vapor canopy that lasted until the Great Flood. So 1656 Anno Phoenix began the vapor canopy, but 1656 Anno Mundi, 414 years later, collapsed the vapor canopy, and we have now isolated this pattern through history. It's astonishing. Now we have the date of the Great Flood, and as you know, throughout my published books and many videos, I have challenged anyone who wants to debate the topic. If anyone wants to bring their data to the table and try to contravene my own, I will overwhelm them with data from all over the world, not only just textual and chronological, but also scientific, that the Great Flood of biblical fame was 2239 BC. I still don't have any takers on that. 2239 BC, Great Flood in May. It is the year 1656 Anno Mundi. That means from the Genesis Adam and Eve reset. Caused by the Phoenix, the Appen cataclysm. At this time, confirmed by Dr. Barry Wormkessel, who calls it Vulcan. Vulcan and Phoenix are interchangeable, just like Vulcan, Phoenix, and Typhon. It's all interchangeable. Deluge predicted and told to Noah. It was predicted and told to Manu, to Anapishtim, Zasudra. Antediluvian period is over. The vapor canopy collapses in the day the sky fell, known as the Great Flood. This is the birth of the sun. It is the Heliolithic age beginning. The mandate of heaven changes in ancient China. A new star appears. Hundreds of cities are shoved under sea. It is worldwide volcanism, continental quakes and mud floods, red rains and cosmic dust fallout, temporary pole shift. A temporal pole shift is when the entire stellosphere shifts and then comes back to its original place. This is it is described in the book of Jasher also. This is Mul Appen astronomy begins at this date. The event that happened here is the origin of astronomy in ancient Babylon, as I've shown in my Mul Appen video. This is 2070 Anno Phoenix, or 2070 years from 4309 BC, the beginning of the Phoenix chronology. At 1656 years, this is 552 plus 552 plus 552 years. 3 Phoenix cycles. That's what 1656 is. And 1656 is a very prominent number in world history, as we will see. This means the Great Flood of 2239 BC was the conjunct of 2 different Phoenix-related timelines. Pay attention. The Great Flood in 2239 BC ended 2 very distinct Phoenix timelines that started on separate dates. The first one was the 414-year cursed Earth system, the Great Flood being the year 2070 of the Phoenix timeline. And the second was the 552-year Phoenix cycle, which began with the Adam and Eve reset of 3895 BC. 3895 BC plus 1656 years of the pre-flood world is 2239 BC. So we get to 1963 BC, which is the year 1932 Anno Mundi. It's 1932 years to the very beginning of Phoenix chronology. Temporal pole shift, quakes, bodies of water moved. Many giants were overthrown by the new hero, Amar Udaak, known later as Mar and Marduk, but in India he was Rama. This is 2346 years Anno Phoenix, or 2346 years before the beginning of the Phoenix timeline. 1687 BC, one of the worst, this is the worst, it's a worse destruction than 2239 BC. Even though 2239 BC, the Great Flood of Noah, got the more fame, it wasn't the most destructive. There were many survivors. It wasn't just Noah and 7 other people on the ark. It was fleets of arks that survived and landed in different areas. All right, 1687 BC. The Ogygian flood, cataclysm, at this time confirmed by Dr. Barry Wormkessel, who calls it Vulcan. Jacob foreknew of the sun darkening. The people of Tiahuanaco predicted the coming of the sun disaster. The Heliolithic maritime empire collapses. New World Age in India begins, a 25-year darkness and famine recorded in the Mediterranean and in the Americas. 25 years of darkness is recorded in both hemispheres. Minoan Linear A begins, a giant object seen in the sky. The sons of the Sun dynasty all collapse and dated precise by W.J. Perry in his book, Children of the Sun. Also dated by the Book of Jasher, 1687 BC, the Bamboo Books of China, Marcus Varro, Augustine, Julius Africanus, the Kraken floods Joppa and darkens the sun in Perseus, the destroyer legend. Easter Island is abandoned. The Avellino eruption of Vesuvius occurred. It buried a whole civilization long before it buried Pompeii and Herculaneum of the Romans. In fact, Pompeii and Herculaneum of the Roman Empire, imperial period, they were built about 60 feet above a whole subsurface of civilizations that were buried in 1687 BC in the Avellino. Archaeologists have found the buildings and the bodies at that depth, way before Herculaneum and Pompeii. So the biblical dating for the 7-year famine in Egypt in Genesis occurs during this 25-year darkness. This is 2622 years Anno Phoenix, or 2622 years from 4309 BC. The next event is 1549 BC. It is the year 2346 Anno Mundi. Since the Adam and Eve reset, 3 suns appear in the sky, unusual storms, the sun dimmed, the sky turned red, tsunamis, and disaster in the Cyclades region. This is 2760 Anno Phoenix, or 2760 years from 4309 BC. Remember, every blue number you see is a Phoenix number. Every one of them are divisible by 138. And also remember, I didn't date any of these events. 1411 BC is 2484 Anno Mundi, a temporal pole shift with the sun stopping its movement across the sky for almost an entire day. A new star appeared, meteoritic fallout. The sky turned bloody red, flooding, the origin of the Phaethon myth. This is 2898 Anno Phoenix, or 2898 years from 4309 BC. Next event, 138 years later, 1273 BC, is the year 2622 Anno Mundi. Atreus predicted the darkening of the sun. He was an astronomer. He won the kingship of Argos, Mycenae, by beating his brother. His brother was a warrior, but the people wanted a smart king, and he's the one that predicted the darkening of the sun, and it was not an eclipse. So the sky turns bloody red. Socrates, Archilochus, Seneca in Thyestes, Euripides in Electra, Annals of King Merciless II of Hatti all mention the event. This is 3036 Anno Phoenix, or 3,036 years from 4309 BC. 1135 BC is the year 2760 Anno Mundi. Cataclysm at this time confirmed by Dr. Barry Wormkessel, who calls it Vulcan. Tuatha predicted the darkening of the sun before the Second Battle of Moytura, when they were fighting the Furbolgs. The Mediterranean Dark Age begins. Minoan Linear B collapses. Mandate of Heaven in China changes. Object darkened the sun and turned it blood red over Babylon. Mediterranean tsunamis. Dust rains, and Atlantis and the island of Atlantis civilization vanishes, and the sea peoples they never again invade the Mediterranean. This is the beginning of the Great Mediterranean Dark Age period. This is 3174 Anno Phoenix, or 3174 years from 4309 BC. 859 BC is the year 3036 AM. Remember, you don't have to memorize these numbers, but you're going to see them in a most profound data set. Not this one, another data set, all the exact same numbers. So 859 BC is 3036 AM. The phoenix symbol appears on an Assyrian relief commemorating Israelite King Jehu bowing down. He's paying homage to the Assyrian king. The relief is dated 859 BC. This is 3450 Anno Phoenix and 3450 years from 4309 BC. I have this picture in one of my books. A lot of misinformation about the winged disc. When you see that red disc with the wings on it, yeah, it's not a solar symbol. Over and over and over, you've been told by Sumerologists, Near Eastern scholars, and even Egyptologists, because it's also on Egypt, that this is a reference to the sun. It is not. It is the phoenix. Over and over and over. All the effigies, all the pictures, all the traditions that are attached to these reliefs and monuments are all phoenix related. They don't have anything to do with the sun, other than darkening the sun and turning it blood red. And I'll drink to that. So you have to understand, I'm not done. I'm by far, I'm not done. But this synthetic architecture of history is unnatural. What I'm conveying to you cannot both be true and inaccurate. It is a paradox. If the history of the world was completely natural, we would not have this fluidity here. This structuring is absolutely perfect, but nature is not, especially cycles and epicycles, which change all the time due to cataclysms, due to the change in Earth's motion, which is the sky, the movement of the sky. We have many events in the historical record where the sky did very unusual things. And when the sun and the moon change directions. Excuse me. But what you're seeing here is too perfect. It's another reason why I'm a simulationist. But still, you need to see the data for yourself, because we have a lot more to go through. The year is 721 BC. It's a famous year in the Bible as well. It is 3174 Annus Mundi. The Assyrian inscription has that a new world age began in this year. That's really interesting, because the Assyrian New World Ages are the same thing as the Vedic Yugas. Well, not the Vedic, there is no Vedic Yugas, but the Hindu Yugas. When a Yuga ended and began, it was always some critical world-shattering event. These are cycles. So something happened in 721 that caused the Assyrians to declare a whole new world age. What's really interesting is that it was only 8 years later that the Assyrian inscriptions declared a whole new world age again. 2 world ages back to back. And this has been noticed by historians. What happened 8 years after this? 713 BC. The sun retrograded 10 degrees. And the moon, for a 4-month period, disappeared. Yeah, so that's 721 BC. New world age begins according to the Assyrians, but the king of Israel falls to Assyria. The Almagest, Plutarch, Ovid, Marcus Varro all record that the sun and moon darkened in this year. Clouds were seen in the heavens, flames in the sky, noises from the sky like skyquakes. And Chinese astronomers mention the event found in the list of Confucius. This is 3588 Anno Phoenix, or 3588 years from 4309 BC. The next year, 138 years later, is 583 BC. It is the year 3312 Anno Mundi. 3,312 years since the Genesis Adam and Eve reset that started the pre-flood world. Thales of Miletus predicted the darkening of the sun in the year 585, 2 years before it happened. The darkening of the sun happened in the month of May, according to the historical record. This is the Vandenberg data. A new calendar is suddenly instituted at the Delphic Oracle. The Japanese imperial period of the sons of the suns begins. The eclipsed sun on the monument Yassilikaya in Turkey commemorates the day the sun darkened and stopped a battle between the Medes and the Lydians. This is 3726 Anno Phoenix, or 3726 years from 4309 BC. 138 years later, we have archaeologist De Jong recorded a disaster that was caused by, he just says a comet, but he doesn't quite know. Something in the sky resulted in widespread fires, and he estimates the death toll to be about 800,000 people. The sun darkened over China. This is the year 445 BC. It is 3450 Anno Mundi. The sun darkened over China, and the stars appeared in the daytime. This is 3864 Anno Phoenix, or 3864 years from 4309 BC. 138 years later is 307 BC. It is the year 3588 Anno Mundi. The Ora Lind text records disasters in Europe. Both China and the Parian marble, that's supposed to be marble, Parian marble, have strange object in the sky about this date within 2 years. This is 4002 Anno Phoenix, or 4002 years from 4309 BC. 276 years later, or is that 138 again? In the year 169 BC, 3726 Anno Mundi, a fiery torch in the sky is seen over the Mediterranean. This is 4140 Anno Phoenix, or 4140 years from the beginning of the Phoenix timeline. That's 10 cursed earth periods. So as you can see, there is a diminishing of the Phoenix phenomenon after the Atlantis destruction, which my archaics veterans already know why. The greatest destructions of Phoenix are always on these major 552-year periods, the Phoenix cycles. The smaller independent 138 periods are regional. But the regional ones fall by orders of magnitude. They can be small, real non-specific, or they can be regional, as in hemispheric. This is what we have coming in 2040. 2040 is not the big one. The big one is fourth magnitude. It's not a fourth magnitude event. What's coming in 2040 is a third magnitude event, which means it is big, but only for the hemisphere that it's going to be concentrated over. And as I've shown many times, on my channel, It is my personal belief, based off my calendrics research, that all the Phoenix focus is basically concentrated on the area of China and Southeast Asia. So it's third magnitude, but it will be fourth magnitude for those who experience it. The rest of the world gets a pass. That's the best way to explain the orders of magnitude for the regional ones. Let me go back. So it's diminishing, but when Phoenix diminishes, it just builds power for an MFer, which is coming. So we're at 307, 169. 169 is an interesting year too, man, because the Jews had it bad that year. Antiochus Epiphanes IV slaughtered a pig on the temple, pissed those people off, which back then was called the abomination of desolation, because it made the temple, it was an abomination, a pig that was sacrificed instead of a red heifer on the temple site. The Jews had to clean the whole temple, scour it. They had to do purification ceremonies. It's like 7 years before they could get their temple back to their specifications. Antiochus screwed them over, man. Yeah, he didn't like those people at all. All right, 31 BC is the year 3864. Remember, blue means it's divisible by 138. It is a Phoenix number. So 31 BC is 3864 Anno Mundi, a sky dragon in the heavens over Egypt. Greece, of fiery torches seen in the sky for many days. Earthquake in Asia Minor, in Tralles, in Lydia, and many cities also in Ionia, Mysia, and Aetolia. Macedonians record continental quake from Aegean to Judea in the month of May, during the Battle of Actium. Olympia, a terrible quake and the worst quake in Jerusalem's history. Yucatan is ruined. It is the final date steal of the Olmeca, and it has a long count date equivalent to our 31 BC. It is the last relief in inscription of the Olmeca was in this year. The Olmeca are the predecessors of the Maya. This is 4278 Anno Phoenix, or 4278 years from 4309 BC. 276 years later, which is 138 plus 138, we have 246 AD. It is the year 4140 Anno Mundi. Old Britain annals record a bloody sword in the sky, a rain of blood. At Lincolnshire, England, the sea floods thousands of acres, all lost permanently to the new shoreline. England's already small, but they lost a lot of real estate that didn't come back to the sea. This is 4554 Anno Phoenix, or 4554 years from 4309 BC. Also, I want to bring to your attention, you're getting the data from somebody who has mined thousands of books and read these books, and I've proven this to you over and over, but that in no way precludes the fact that we're missing so much data. I've also done videos showing you how many times the libraries of the ancient world have been destroyed and been burned, have been scattered, attacked, all that. We're missing a huge amount of data. So in order to have been able to assert all this factually and provide you guys with so much published material on these dates and what happened and the sources, it's amazing. It is absolutely incredible we have this much information, with so much of the knowledge of the ancient world lost in earthquakes, flooding, resets, and purges. To be able to give you all this data is astonishing. To put it and how mathematically cohesive it is, but we'll get to that. We're not even there yet. 384 AD. 4278 Anno Mundi. So this 384 AD year is 4,278 years since the Adam and Eve Genesis reset that created a new heavens and a new earth. It was year one of the pre-flood world of Genesis. Lycosthenes, in his life work, Chronicon, records a bloody pillar in the sky. Note, there was a darkening of the sun, and the records declare it was not an eclipse, but it was dated 394 AD, long after the event, because the Anno Domini calendar was invented in 526 and also backdated to that year. But the church removed the 552-year Boudic cycle of the Phoenix and replaced it with a new 532-year Paschal cycle, which caused all the confusion. 394 AD is exactly 138 years before 532 AD, which shows the chronology was still preserving a 138-year period, but that it was a backdated improperly. So I have a video called The Harrowing Truth of the Anno Domini calendar, where I show Alexander Delamar in 1900 published a book showing how the AD calendar was created to hide a 552-year period. And the 552-year period was replaced with a 532-year period by the church in order to try to invent a date for the birth of Jesus. This is why it was done. But that calendar was created almost 550 years after the alleged period of Jesus. And then it took another 500 years for anybody to accept that calendar. So it was backdated to 526 AD. What I'm showing right here is that we have in old history books a reference to a Phoenix-related event. But the Phoenix-related event is 138 years from the Paschal 532, meaning whoever recorded the event got confused by the church's rewriting of the calendar, but they still retained the 138-year period. It's amazing. So this is 4,692 Anno Phoenix, or 4692 years from the very beginning of the Phoenix timeline. I will drink. Yeah, Lacey, I'll drink to that. 522 AD is 4,416 AM. The Dark Ages begin in Europe, and by extension, the whole world. C.E. Britain, on the reign of Octa of Kent, the Welsh Annals records a sky dragon. 522 AD is the 60th year of the Nemesis X. This is tertiary field here, a big one. Earthquakes devastated Olympia, Greece. Sky dragons were seen over Britain. A celestial war of monsters, raining great drops of blood followed by a famine. The old records of Kent record that a strange star appeared attached to a light ray that ended in a flaming dragon. The Dark Ages began. It is the only year in all of world history when Phoenix and Nemesis X are in the inner system. This is back when I was a uniformitarian. Sorry, guys. This is an old note. They were back in the sky at the same time. Old Britain records claimed it was a celestial war of monsters. Can you imagine seeing Phoenix and Nemesis X in the sky at the same time? Now you understand why all those chicken eggs became velociraptors in the Dark Ages. Now you get it all. If you don't know what I'm talking about, would one of my mods please post the 3 or 4 recent Dark Ages videos I've done explaining how tertiary fields create parthenogenesis, or parthenogenetic changes in amphibians and reptiles. So during this 60-year presence, the Mosh culture of Peru vanished. This is the origin of the Anno Domini calendar. It is this event, a Phoenix event, is the reason why the Roman Catholic Church created the very calendar that the whole world goes by today. The Anno Domini calendar was created because of this event and the 25-year great Great Justinian darkness, which actually started the Dark Ages. This is 4,830 Anno Phoenix, or 4830 years from the very beginning of the Phoenix timeline. If you guys want to read a fictionalized version, very very good, a hardback book, a fictionalized version of what to expect in Phoenix Phenomenon event and all that. The Phoenix Phenomenon wrapped up into a fictional story. Bradley Long, I think you're in the chat. Why don't you post your link? He wrote a book. It's on Amazon. It's big hardback book. But he took the Phoenix Phenomenon and turned it into fiction, so people can process it better. But you might want to share that link in the chat. All right, let's move. Chevy SS got me some coffee too. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm addicted to coffee. I'll drink to that, Chevy. 660 AD. Oh, some of you are going to love this. Archaics veterans, you got new material here. You've got material here you've never heard before. Well, a lot of this you've never heard before, but here it is. 660 AD is the year 4554 Annus Mundi. This is the 4,554th year since the Adam and Eve Genesis reset. New heavens and new earth. Total systemic pole shift of 3895 BC. In 660 AD, the sky burned over Scotland. For many months in Japan occurred strange phenomena that ended the Baekje kingdom. Animals acted strangely. An unknown large fish banked on shore, equal to our 9 meters, like 30 feet. A human giantess of massive proportions was found floating on the waters of Japan. Well water turned the color of blood, as did the Sabi River. A plague of frogs appeared in the trees, and large numbers of people were disoriented and suffered memory loss. Throngs of people terrified, while others watched, not understanding why they fled. Many fell dead with no apparent cause. An apparition of a large red horse appeared, and it was seen by many people. At this time appeared, this is in the Japanese records, guys. At this time appeared the Hinotori, also called the Fin Wang or Phoenix. This is 4,968 Anno Phoenix, or 4,968 years from 4309 BC. Please remember that number, 4968. I'll remind you, but we're going to get to that. You have to understand too, this is a condensed, very abbreviated version of events. Something terrible happened in Japan on this Phoenix year. For whole masses of the population to be they're disoriented and they suffered memory loss. In the record that I just read, many people, for no apparent reason, were carrying some of their possessions, but they didn't know where they were going. And some people were just dropping their tools and kitchen utensils, and they didn't know why. They didn't even know why they carried them. Other people who weren't affected by the tertiary field were observing this, going, man, whole country's going crazy. People were doing inexplicable things that rational thinking people who were unaffected by the Phoenix phenomenon field observed and couldn't understand. They couldn't understand why these people were dying. They couldn't understand because for no apparent reason. They couldn't understand why they were running from things that they could not see. They couldn't understand why they were in a panic, and they sure as hell couldn't understand why they thought that they needed to carry all kinds of weird and just random objects and then lay them in different places. Yeah, this is 100% tertiary field phenomenon. So crazy. It's so crazy reading that. So you Archaics veterans, you got a new data point here for sure. And I'll be doing a video on the Orient I don't know if it's going to be soon, but I will be doing one because I have other things to add from Korea and China about the Feng, about Phoenix Hill. You guys know about Phoenix Hill where they found that underground complex? It dates from 1135 BC, which happens to be the fall of Atlantis, a Phoenix event. But we'll be doing something on Asia, on the Dragon Kings and all that. So next, so we're in the Dark Ages. This happened during the Dark Ages. So we're still in the Dark Ages. 798 AD. Quakes, darkening of the sun, the flooding in Mayan cities. The record of Constantinople has the sun darkened for 17 days. Wait a minute. That's not supposed to say England. That England happened later. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's three episodes here. Constantinople has the sun darkened for 17 days, and it's supposed to be a comma. It's over England as well. Because that's not. We have another one after this as well, and there's 3 different records of the sun darkening for 17 days. So 798 AD is 4692 Anno Mundi. Quakes, darkening of the sun, flooding in Mayan cities. Record of Constantinople has the sun darkened for 17 days over England as well. It's not supposed to be a. Immense snows kill men and animals. This is 5106 Anno Phoenix, or 5106 from the beginning of the Phoenix chronology. 138 years later, still in the Dark Ages. 936 AD is 4830 Anno Mundi. Belgium records the obscuration of the sun for 17 days that started with the sky being clear. Then it turned blood red. A plague followed with the death of many people. This is 5244 Anno Phoenix, or 5244 years from 4309 BC. Now, 1212 AD, we're in the Middle Ages, the beginning of the Middle Ages. 1212 AD is the year 5106 Anno Mundi. This is 5,106 years after the Adam and Eve Genesis reset. Holland tsunami drowns 306,000 people. This is an abbreviated note, like an annotation, but really the actual account says that a tsunami, that the ocean invaded Holland and pulled 306,000 people out to sea, never to be seen again. France, a colored rain fell and a haloed cross was seen in the sky. A shower of blood at Caen, 3 crosses in the sky at Falaise, Novgorod, Russia. Early frost destroyed the harvest. Children were sold as slaves for bread. Mass human vanishings, quakes in the Middle East, vanishings covered up in tradition of the Children's Crusade, which begins with a flaming cross seen in the sky over Germany. The Children's Crusade isn't what we've been told. It's supposed to have been 2 kids who wired up a bunch of other kids to go ahead and say, hey, in Germany, since the adults can't win the Crusades, and all the men keep going to the war, the Crusades, and they don't come back. So then the Bible isn't talking about adults. It's talking about the children of God. We're the children of God. This is the official story, but it's not true. So all these children get together and they march through all these German cities. Never would have happened. There's no way any authorities would have ever let all these children just march, especially 55,000 children. And it just grew and got bigger and bigger and bigger as they got closer and closer to the through European areas to the Middle East. It's so patently untrue. There's just no way that all these families would have let their children go. Like, what really happened was something strange appeared in the sky, and children all over Europe just vanished. That's the real story. The Children's Crusade is the cover story. 1212 AD, this is also the official year that Tartaria enters the historical record as a geographical location recognized by foreign powers. I have an entire video about Tartaria. Matter of fact, Tartaria is in the title. If you want to check it out, my Tartaria video shows you the old books that explain these facts about the year 1212 being the first year Tartaria was entered in the ledgers of different foreign powers. It appears in the maps. But anyway, this is 5,520 Anno Phoenix, or 5,520 years from the beginning of the Phoenix chronology. Tartarians, I will drink to that. Where's my chat at? All right, man, let's go. 1488 AD is the year 5382 Anno Mundi. Mother Shipton is born. This is very curious because there is evidence that Mother Shipton never existed. And I know people in England that live near Mother Shipton's cave don't want to hear that. But Mother Shipton was illiterate. Her name was Ursula Southhill. The poem, the original poem that says she created, was only about the return of the two sky dragons, Phoenix and Nemesis X. She even dated them to 1 century after a future world war. So she nailed it. Over time, as I've shown in my Mother Shipton video, over time, other people have added a bunch of prophecies in there to make it look like things were predicted, but weren't. But they weren't. The whole Mother Shipton deal seems to be a reveal. It seems to be this information in 1480. It said that she was born in 1488. She perfectly describes, I've read her poem on my channel. She perfectly describes a Phoenix phenomenon, 3rd to 4th magnitude event. She perfectly describes it. And my Arcades veterans, I know you guys have been through that material, but it's really interesting that the historical record has her birth on a Phoenix year, 1488. Whether she's real or not, we have to judge things by their effects. And the effect is she produced a very accurate account and dated it. 1 century after a future world war? Well, officially, World War II began in 1939. Well, Phoenix years are always the year before and the Phoenix year. So May of 2039 to May of 2040 is the Phoenix year. You guys, I've told you many times how the Phoenix years operate. It's not like our calendar. It doesn't start in January. So that's just a data point. But 1626 AD is the year 5,520. Italian quakes kill 17,000 people. The Chinese record a sun darkening and stones fell from the sky and killed many people in China. This is the year 5934 Anno Phoenix, or 5934 years from the beginning of the Phoenix chronology. I have to stop here for a minute. We are missing data from 1626. Way more than this happened. There has been a massive amount of censorship about what happened. A lot of people, especially in the Tartarian narrative, those content creators are all honing in on this period right here for the last badass reset, and I do not disagree. The maps that I have showing California, it was an island. North America, there were no Great Lakes. The maps that I have shown from before 1626 are very different than the maps after 1626. But that's neither here nor there. I have two major sources for the reason why I'm claiming that this 3rd magnitude event in 2040 is going to focus on China and Southeast Asia. The first comes from my isometric projection analysis that's published in my book, When the Sun Darkens, and again in the second Phoenix book I wrote called Nostradamus and the Planets of Apocalypse. In those two books, I provide the cursed Earth system. I provide isometric projections, which show a epicentral year and then an equidistant years going forward and backward in time to significant events. And it wasn't my intent to discover it, but I overwhelmingly show that China is connected to the 2040 event in palindromic calendrics over and over and over. I wasn't expecting to find that. And I sure as hell was not expecting to find, when I did my research and provided my 37 charts in a video. One of my moderators, please provide this link. But the video is called Other Dimensions of Phoenix, where I showed some of the worst disasters that happened in the last 15 centuries. And I showed how none of them are connected to 2040 on the Phoenix timeline of 138 years, except when we take 138 years and we either multiply it or divide it by pi and phi. In Other Dimensions of Arithmetic, all these other disasters and cataclysms are linked also to 2040. And overwhelmingly, the worst ones are all attached to China. Again, I have to direct your attention to 1626 AD. We have a reference here. The Chinese record a sun darkening. Also, stones fell from the sky and killed many in China. The actual story is that there was a drought in China leading up from 1622 all the way to 1626. There was a drought, and the people went and abducted the Taoist priests and made them perform a ceremony because they were desperate, and told them that they needed to make the sky rain. But the sky didn't rain water, it rained stones, and the sun turned black, and China was darkened in shadow. This is the year 1626. The reason I have to draw your attention to this date is because it's 5934 Anno Phoenix. We can't ignore that. This is a cross-calendrical parallel. Anybody who has access to Chronicon, if you have access to my Chronicon right now, I don't even want to say it. But if you have access to my Chronicon right now, will you please look up what the year 5934 Anno Mundi is? Because this is a cross-calendrical parallels, and cross-calendrical parallels will always give you additional data on what is to happen at a future event based on past predicates. This event right here is literally screaming to you who's going to get it in 2040. 5934 Anno Mundi is what date on our calendar today? I'm just waiting for somebody in the chat. Somebody in the chat will tell me. Somebody can look in Chronicon. A whole bunch of you got Chronicon. Look in Chronicon. What year is 5934 AM in our AD calendar today? There it is. Thank you, sir. And you're absolutely right. Brainstorm expert, 1626. Yeah, you're right. But the very first person to get it was Ace UK Hunter. It is the year 2040. 5934 is 2040 AD. I've shown you guys over and over and over and over. Past events could have been predicted if people living at those times were applying calendrics. Calendrics is always going to provide you a window. So here's a third source of material right now. A totally different one, different than the first two that I mentioned. And the first two that I mentioned were extensive. But here's a third piece right here showing 2040 is focused on China. Right here. I could find a lot more if I looked. I just keep finding these things by accident. So we go to 1764 AD. We're still on the Phoenix timeline. This is the year 5658 Anno Mundi. This is 5,658 years since the Adam and Eve reset. Massive death toll in India from quakes. A tornado destroys forests around Mecklenburg, Germany. Massive strange objects appear in the sky over Europe with rains of blood. Astronomer Hoffman in the month of May watches a dark object pass over 1/5 of the sun's surface as 1,000,000 Europeans look at it with the naked eye. The strange object is traveling on a north to south trajectory over the ecliptic. Astronomers could not dismiss Hoffman, but they dismissed it by ignoring him. But he entered it into the minutes of the Royal Astronomy, and it's still there today. But they try to claim that it was a local speck, and he's mistaken. The reason they do that is because any object that passes between us and the sun and can cover 1/5 of the sun's surface is a Jupiter-sized object. It's massive. So that's going by their own uniformitarian astronomy. So he's been dismissed, although he's still quoted in many, many books for having made that observation in 1764. And as you know, my Archaics veterans know, there have been a few historic incidents where Phoenix was observed, like in the Hittite records, passing from the north, going over the sun and into the south. Also in the Babylonian records of Mulapan. So this is what Phoenix does. It's on a totally different ecliptic. It's on the Nemesis ecliptic. It's not on Sol's ecliptic. We have two different ecliptic planes in operation here. 1764 AD is the year 6072 Anno Phoenix. And we get to our precious year of 1902. 1902, in May, an unknown star appears, quakes, volcanic eruptions, red rains, dust veil. Charles Fort called 1902 the other dark age of 1902. It is another one of the most heavily censored years in human history. I've even got videos where I show you that major newspapers in the United States, where they have published their book showing the front page of all these newspapers, is missing the 1902 sections. So Phoenix again transited, bathing the surface in hundreds of millions of tons of red dust. Volcanoes in Guatemala and St. Martinique killed about 40,000 people. And this one paragraph, as you know, I've got like 9 different 1902 videos now, and there's just no way to tell you all the things that happened in 1902. You'll just have to look at the playlist for Phoenix, because 1902 was a tertiary field event, and so many edits and so many disappearances and so many fundamental changes happened to our reality in 1902. This is the Phoenix year before 2040. So we get to 2040. Oh, that was 6,002. That was 6,210 Anno Phoenix. Then we get to 2040, which is the year 5934 Anno Mundi. Remember the Chinese data I just showed you? Now, 2040 AD, May 15th through 16th, the sun darkens by the Phoenix. This is lithospheric displacement. Oceans slip their basins. New York and London and hundreds of cities are shoved under sea. Worldwide volcanism, continental quakes and mud floods, subsidence, red rains and cosmic dust fallout. It is the 6th seal of the apocalypse. For those new to my channel and you don't know, you need to catch up, because the first seal was broken when Apollo Pharmakia, using hospitals and doctors, attacked the human family. We are in the middle of the second seal right now, which is small arms warfare to take peace from the earth, involving Islam and Christianity and Judaism. That's second seal. So, 6th sky dragon of Mother Shipton, the black son of the Hopi, Fenrir of the Norse, swallows the sun and moon in the weird of the gods. It's called Ragnarok, which means day of darkness. This event will be experienced by the entire world, but aside from the coastal ruin, the loss of both New York City and London, the West will fare well, but the far East will be the center of Phoenix fallout. This is 6,348 Anno Phoenix, or 6348 years from the beginning of the Phoenix timeline. And the final 138-year period ends in 2178. Total systemic reboot back to Genesis. This is the 6,486th year of the Phoenix timeline. You guys already know 2178 is the immortal number. There's no other number in existence like it. It will not collapse to zero upon holographic scrutiny. When you take it and subtract it from its holographic reflection, 2178 is the only number that loops through all its permutations. All other numbers in existence collapse to zero. I don't have time to show you that here. I've got whole videos explaining it, showing you the charts. I've even had another YouTuber, a mathematician with his computer, show his community that I was full of shit. And then in the middle of the video, he apologized. I hope his video is still up. I don't even know where it's at anymore, but he apologized. Damn, man, Jason's right. Absolutely, I can't believe it. And he showed his own community that the number loops forever. Every other number collapses zero. So, matter of fact, I have a video called the Phoenix Challenge, and that's what that number's about. So, to find that number, 2178, the immortal number that will not collapse to zero, that as a Phoenix number is interesting because to me, that's when the entire construct itself reboots back. We go right back to Genesis on the timeline. So we'll see evidence of that here. But every number you just heard, every number in the entire Phoenix chronology that you just heard, every number that was in blue represents historical events of the Phoenix appearing and causing sun darkenings, sun darkening episodes and disasters, depopulation events, and strange phenomena from a corpus of over 1,000 source materials, books providing us the dates written by different authors living in different time periods and in different languages, all put back together in the past 25 years. These are not dated by me. That's it's critical for you to understand. Every single period of time is listed below. Every single period of years is precisely divisible by 138. Here's the list. These are the numbers you just saw. We're still in the first data set. These are all the numbers you just saw. The entire Phoenix chronology provides us 39 numbers, all divisible by 138. Out of a period of 6,486 years. This means the Phoenix reset chronology years account for only 0.6. Look at that, 0.601% of all the years in recorded history. So these numbers you see right here, just 39 numbers. But these 39 numbers only account for 0.60% of all the years in recorded history. Below are the same numbers, but those in blue are the Phoenix sums that are all a part of the 414-year cursed Earth system and the 552-year Phoenix cycle. These are the same numbers right here. Let me move this up. These are the exact same numbers right here. I don't like the way it's separated. These are all the exact same numbers. But if you're looking at them in blue, they're also divisible by the cursed Earth period of 414 or the Phoenix cycle of 552. And 4 of those numbers are divisible by both the cursed Earth system and 552. And those are the events that destroyed the world the most. Of all the Phoenix periods, timelines divisible by 138, these are all those that appear the most frequently between Phoenix events or represented the most destructive Phoenix years. So look at this series of numbers right here, because we're going straight into the second data set. This is an independent data set. It has nothing to do with the Phoenix chronology, which was put together in 25 years of researching and data mining over 1,000 nonfiction reference books in order to find these unusual events. And it was a total accident that I noticed that they were all 138 years apart. That is a separate deal from what you're about to see now in the second data set. Thank you, Sunshine. Third space. Thank you guys for donating. I'll drink to that. Me too, Crystal Pistol. She said, sometimes I just sit astonished. Me too. You don't think I get astonished when I'm going through all my notes and all that? I'm seeing, yeah. Man, listen to me. If you guys could see me sometimes, I don't even take time to get dressed sometimes. I'm so into my books, research notes. Man, listen, I got my little boxers on. I'm wagging my tail. And, wait till I tell them this. I'll put that in that file. I'll put these files together. I'll start going through some books. And wait a minute. I know I read that in a book, and I'll go look at that book and I'll pull it out and I'll spend 40 minutes trying to find one fact. See, there it is. I'll photograph it. And that's when you guys see me photograph pictures of books to show you. Yeah, you don't think I'm wagging my tail all the time? I'm putting this stuff together. Yeah, I told you guys, I don't have any of this memorized. Information's in the field. I've included it in my informed field. That's why I have instant recall. But it ain't in the brain. The brain doesn't store information. The brain is a filtering system. It is your interface between the field and your informed field and the over field of the construct. So yeah, Crystal, I'm amazed too sometimes putting this together. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. So look at these numbers: 138, 414, 552, 1242, 1656, 2070, 2208, 2484, 2760, 3312, 4968. These numbers appear, that list of 39 numbers, these are the numbers that connect all 39 numbers forward and backward. It's amazing. These numbers represent historical events and the distance in time between historical events when our world suffered the most in the Phoenix phenomenon episodes. These numbers represent actual hardcore data mined from the historical record. These numbers here. That's data set number 1. Let's go into data set number 2. The above listed 11 Phoenix numbers produced in the first data set have completely independent verification that the Phoenix timeline was known in the ancient world. We have just reviewed 9 numbers from the historical records that are not approximate, but very specific. They all concern destruction, resets, cycles of the world, and ancient calendars. This data set is the shortest. Here are those numbers you just saw. Over a 20-year period going through thousands of books, these references were discovered. The number 138 in the book titled The Moravian Mythos, we have a record from Jewish legend that claims that some angels were cursed because they had warned the inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah of its impending destruction, and for this trespass, God cursed these angels to stay out of heaven for 138 years. The number 414, Dr. Stephen Jones published charts and a book demonstrating that over 60 historical events were all 414 years apart, knowing nothing of the Phoenix or its chronology. Dr. Stephen Jones is a Christian. He is alive today. He still has a ministry. He has not answered my emails. I don't think he wants to have anything to do with me. Maybe he doesn't like the fact that his biblical chronology is the exact same as the Phoenix chronology. He just didn't know. His research is totally independent of mine from totally different sources, but we have the exact same year dates. 552, in the research titled The Worship of Augustus Caesar by Alexander Del Mar, published in 1900, he wrote, the dominant measures of the divine year were the Brahmanical of 658 common years and the Buddhic of 552 years. This was originally the Phoenix cycle. This 552-year period, according to Alexander Del Mar, was removed by the church when they created the Anno Domini calendar, and it was replaced with a 532-year cycle called the Paschal cycle, which completely changed the chronology. It got everybody off. We even have evidence that many historical disasters for the Justinian darkness period were misdated to 532 when they were supposed to be 522 AD. 1242, the French Jewish prophet Nostradamus, Michel de Nostradam, wrote in a private letter that 1242 years was the period before the flood from Adam to Noah, and he's correct. 1656. Over 900 years ago, the Talmudic researcher Rashi, around 1090 AD, wrote that the Great Flood occurred in 1656, and, that 1656 years was a definite period of time between cataclysms. The pre-flood world in Genesis is 1656 years, as noted by many chronologists. You guys have seen those videos. I'm not going to cite all the different authors in the past who all show that the flood happened in the 1656 year. 2070. Also in ancient America, we have the Inca remembering a catastrophe that began their history. In 1624, historian Montesinos wrote that the Inca recalled a beginning period of 2070 years. That's 138 times 15. This is too arbitrary of a duration. If not derived from a precise historical chronology, then they would have just said 2,000 years. But they didn't. The Inca said 2070 years. 2208. In 1658, Archbishop James Ussher published his famous world chronology and dated the Ogygian flood in the Old World calendar year of 2208 Annus Mundi. Also, Dr. Stephen Jones concluded that the sun darkening during major worldwide quakes was in the year 2208 of the Book of Jasher chronology in the Assyrian eponyms. 2484. Censorinus in the 3rd century AD wrote that Aristarchus of Samos reckoned a great year as 2484 years, 138 times 18. This 2484 year period was the time between two cataclysms. This Ionian mathematician and astronomer studied in the hallowed halls of the Alexandrian library and had access to materials now lost. 2484 years betrays a knowledge of a definite chronology that existed in his time. 2760. Hans Bellamy published a century ago that an analysis of Mayan reliefs and tradition held that this destruction was from the sky and connected to a 2760 year cycle. This is called the heptad cycle of the ancient Maya. 3312. Dr. Barry Wormkessel concludes, after reviewing historic records and modern scientific reports, that Vulcan is a distant Jovian-sized dark star companion of our sun in a highly inclined orbit with a short cycle of 3312 years. 4968. Dr. Barry Wormkessel concludes that the highly inclined long cycle of Vulcan is on a 4,968 year orbit. His Vulcan is none other than the Phoenix. Dr. Barry Wormkessel refused to collaborate with me. And I get it. I'm an ex-con. Yeah, I get it. Same reason a bunch of Egyptologists don't want to talk to me at all either. It's I 100% get it. I'm autodidactic, and I don't speak their language. And I think most uniformitarians are just absolutely full of shit, and they don't even understand that what they believe is tantamount to the faith of Christianity. Is no different. Once you remove all the erroneous material from the uniformitarian model, there's nothing left but faith and assumptions, and that's not science. So I get it. But I offered him all my Phoenix data and he declined. I wrote him like a 4-page letter. I still have that handwritten letter today because he sent it back to me. I still have it today. My publisher sent it to me recently. With that whole stack of things. You guys remember I did a video showing a whole stack of letters that my publisher had sent me from over the years. And Dr. Barry Wormkessel just did, I showed him exactly what he found. I said, listen, man, this is what you found. This is why your data looks the way it does. I said, if we tweak it right here, here's all the historical incidents that actually support what you're saying, but you just got to get away from this idea that it's a star coming. It's not. It's something very local that happens in our sky. So he didn't want to hear it, but it don't matter. It doesn't matter. His data still supports 2 of these numbers. So these are the numbers. I just went through the chronology of the world in Phoenix transits, and it produces these numbers. These same numbers are all mentioned here. Not one of these individuals knows anything about the Phoenix chronology. None of them. The value of this independent confirmation is due to the fact that not one of these sources are from anyone who had a knowledge of the Phoenix chronology, and they all antedate the Archaic's research. The mathematical cohesiveness of chronological structuring of history in patterns of 138 is well established in the Archaic's books and videos, but the third data set is going to be the most astonishing of the 3. We have 4 data sets to go through, but now we're going to start with the third. I'm out of coffee. I'm going to switch over to water. I still love coffee, though. I'm still going to drink to that. So, third data set. I'm going to show you guys a lot of charts now. As shown overwhelmingly in the Archaic's books and videos, the Phoenix traditions are connected to Pahanok, or the House of Enoch, the Benben stone pyramidion that was housed in the mansion of the Phoenix in Heliopolis outside the Giza complex where stands the Great Pyramid. The earliest traditions from Egypt have the builder of the Great Pyramid as Surid before the cataclysm, and have the Great Pyramid described as an ark preserving divine knowledge. It was built to survive a catastrophe and then endure for thousands of years to warn future humanity of the same impending cataclysm that necessitated the construction project. The Great Pyramid was built to provide important information to a last days generation that would be able to decipher its message. To the astonishment of many researchers in the past 160 years, it has been discovered that the Great Pyramid was measured out in a system thousands of years ago that is perfectly commensurate with our modern feet and inches measurements. Some theorize that feet and inches are descended from the ancient megalithic yard. Sir Flinders Petri, regarded as the father of Egyptology, according to Zawi Hawass, went through the Great Pyramid measuring every conceivable architectural distance to the hundredths of an inch. So we shall look at 2 things. First, sharing my screen. All right. First, all those blue numbers, those divisible by 138, these are the events they reflect. These are all the Phoenix dates on this chart. In multiples of 138 years. 2040 is the one we're coming up on right now. Excuse me. I'm just showing you the charts, especially for the new people. So these are patterned out. There's a pattern here. These are all the 138-year episodes. These are all 138 years apart, but there's cycles within epicycles. 552-year periods punctuated by 1656-year periods, but the 1656-year periods are also divisible by 552. These are the major epic destructions of the world. 522, which started the Dark Ages, was the last time we had an epic destruction. Here we have Here we have 1902 as first magnitude. As second magnitude. 1764, when Phoenix was seen passing over the sun by astronomer Hoffman, and all kinds of strange fallout appeared in the sky, was 1764. That's first magnitude. Second magnitude was 1902, where we had all kinds of tertiary field edits to our reality, and a bunch of red rain, red dust, and red mud falling all over the sky with volcanoes. And in 1902, we even had two scientists. That's going to be the subject of a video for next week. We even had two scientists that grew 2 inches, and they were in their 50s and 60s just from being exposed to the ambient radiation coming out of a volcano that just killed 40,000 people. So that was 1902. 1902 was second magnitude. We're awaiting on 2040 and 14 more years. It is third magnitude for the Western Hemisphere. The Eastern Hemisphere, it will be fourth magnitude. Remember, third magnitude events mean that a fourth magnitude destruction is happening, but it's only happening to a hemisphere. The rest of the world basically gets a pass. And then we have fourth magnitude. 2178 is total systemic reset, because time in history is cyclical. Just like building the Great Pyramid, it was built in ancient times, but was it? It was built in feet and inches, as I will prove to you now. But here is an event in 2178, which is total systemic reset. It is the immortal number. 2178, as I've shown in my Archaics challenge. But I've also told you that 2178 is the year 3895 BC. They are one in the same. What we call the Genesis reset of Adam and Eve, total systemic. It's the story of humans being naked after a cataclysm, and then a benefactor shows up and tells them half-truths and basically enslaves them in the sin debt cycle. All that is actually 2179. Because the year 2179 is actually 3895 BC. We are in an absolute looping cycle. This is the template for the cycle. The final year is also the first year. This is the Archaics chronology right here. Every red sphere you see here are the Phoenix phenomenon dates. Here are the actual dates. There's 522. It's epic because it was the same. It's also Nemesis X. The black spheres are in Nemesis X. So Nemesis X and Phoenix were here in the same year, 522, started the Dark Ages, started all kinds of crap. We're waiting on this date here, 2040. That's where we're at. We're 14 years from 2040. There's the cursed earth period, 414 years right there. I'm just showing you. This is another Phoenix chart. It shows a bunch of other stuff. These show the location of the phenomenon, the Phoenix date. Was it worldwide or was it hemispheric? It's all here. I really need to redo this chart. Here's the Phoenix dates, 1212. I missed some of this stuff. Here's a lot more stuff that happened in 1212 that I missed. 1626, 1764. I didn't mention all this stuff. I forgot I had this chart. 1902 had a bunch of stuff, all this stuff right here, and this is still abbreviated. But it's still, I'm just giving my new viewers an idea showing how well developed the Phoenix chronology is. So we're done with that file, and now we'll go to Sir Flinders Petrie's measurements. And we're going to go through this real fast. I got some mind-gasms to give you. So there's a lot. These are architectural features on both sides. Architectural features showing the exact length in inches for every feature in here. Sir Flinders Petrie, research checked by engineer David Davidson. It is really profound. So I drew charts that show what these measurements are. I drew these charts before I ever even discovered that they were packed full of Phoenix numbers. Didn't even know. Look at the date on this. Look, Brashears 06. Many people who even 6 and 7 years ago bought my data packs you got these charts in those data packs from 6 or 7 years ago, but I drew these were drawn a long time. It was 20 years ago. 20 years ago. This is the subterranean area. These are the exact measurements for different architectural features underneath the pyramid. These are the horizontal distances in the pyramid for all kinds of features, all by Flinders Petri. These are the scientifically accepted. These are the ones accepted by Egyptologists. Here's the vertical. These are all the vertical distances. So I just wanted to show you these charts. We will return to them when we need to. I just wanted to show you that all this has already been laid out. Every bit of this is established. No one's even contesting any of these measurements. They're so well established. So here's what we have. Also, it doesn't even matter if people contest them or not, because these measurements are self-referencing. You can't even doctor them. Nobody can come behind me. They can claim it. They say, oh man, those measurements are wrong, not true. Okay, because they're self-referencing. There's always multiple measurements that provide the same sums. In addition to that, they're self-referencing even in other dimensions of arithmetic, as I will show. There should be government think tanks that are going through all this data. There should be people far more qualified than me analyzing this data, going through it, and trying to figure out the full messages that are encoded in the mathematics, because that's what they are, messages, as I'm going to show you. The core message I've detected based off all this data is that whoever built this structure is telling us what to expect in 2040. I haven't got there yet. I'm going to show it to you. So that's Flinders Petri's measurements. Let me see what my chart says here. All right. So let me go. I got to find these charts real quick. All right. There's Petri's measurements. Petri's. Oh, okay. Here we go. Chart number 1. I do love me some charts. Share my screen again. You should see this chart coming up. So every boxed measurement is divisible by 138. Remember, it is critical to understand. I did not make these measurements. I did not date any of these historical events that I've already read to you. I did not invent the 138-year chronology. I merely found it. So it is critical for you to understand. The same numbers I showed you in blue are everywhere in the Great Pyramid. And this is why when you guys are always telling me, hey man, what do you think about this guy's pyramid theory? Hey, what do you got? And I'm always telling you the same thing. What is my answer every time you guys send me emails, or you say something in the chat, or you say something when you're live with me and you ask me about the Great Pyramid? What do you think about this guy's theory on the Great Pyramid? My answer is always the same. Until a pyramid researcher can incorporate this mathematical data and explain to the world why this 138 sequencing is found all throughout the pyramid, they don't have a theory. They don't have anything. They have a hypothesis that really lies on nothing. This is the first thing we need to get through before we ascertain what the hell this structure is really about. The historical record is patterned in 138-year reset events. Those numbers I showed you are all right here. Let's look at them. So these numbers are everywhere. These are all distances I just showed you in Sir Flinders Petri's charts. These numbers are everywhere. 6348, we saw that one. 4968, Dr. Wormkessel, we saw that one. 2760, 552. Every single one of these are architectural distances. You can add up the architectural distances and they provide more Phoenix numbers. Even distances like 1070, which is not a Phoenix number, when it's added to other other numbers, which are not Phoenix numbers, they produce Phoenix numbers. There is so many. I've never found all of them. There is so many all throughout the Great Pyramid. I have several videos just overwhelming you with charts showing 138 in all of these. It's incredible. So one of the greatest architectural features is the dead central axis of the entire monument. This step is called the Great Step. That's the Great Step that leads to a 534-inch slab that goes all the way to the King's Chamber wall. It's called the Great Step Foundation. The Great Step Foundation is precisely 1656 inches above the Great Pyramid's foundation. How did that happen? That's 138 feet. You see this 2760? This 2760 is one of the numbers you saw, but it's the vertical height, 1656, plus the height of the Great Step itself at 34 inches, plus 1070. Where did we get the 1070? It came right here. It's the foundation of the Great Pyramid plus 1070 to the roof of the subterranean chamber. Adding them all up is 2760. But we have to add 552 to the 2760 because the measurement ends at the roof. What is the roof? What is the width of the roof? It's very clear. Sir Flinders Petrie shows it is 552 inches. That's the width. So you add that 552 and it becomes 3312, another number we saw as one of the major numbers, 9 numbers of the Phoenix chronology. And this is done over and over and over and over all throughout the pyramid. I've got whole videos that explain all this. I'm just going through this right now to show. Again, it's self-referencing. This is all self-referencing. Do you see this number, 336? 3,003? That is 1518 plus 1518. 1518 is divisible by 138. So 3,036 is 1518 plus 1518. But 336 right here is the ceiling distance of the Grand Gallery of 1836 inches, which terminates exactly 1,200 inches above the foundation. That 1836 plus that 1,200 is exactly 3,036. It's self-referencing. How is it self-referencing? Because that's the exact distance from the axis conjunct right here. This is the passage axis conjunct. It is exactly 3,036 inches to the terminus right here of the descending passage. How is it self-referencing? 1518 times 3 is 4,554 inches. That's another Phoenix number that we saw in those blue numbers in world history. 4,554 inches from the center axis of the pyramid to the perimeter of the pyramid. 4554 inches is a Phoenix number. It's the entire distance here, which is 1518 times 3. 3,036 is 1518 times 2. It is self-referencing. Over and over and over, we find the self-referencing feature. Here it is again. Well, first I want to show some of these. Here's 1518 right here, plus that's the distance. That's the distance from the passage axis conjunct to the perimeter of the pyramid is 1518 inches, divisible by 138. But 1518 inches plus the 1,110 inches of this descending passage to the conjunct, plus 176 inches, which is the height of the floor joint of the conjunct, plus 666 inches, which is the height of the entrance of the pyramid, plus 808, which is the apophthegm. This is the sloping distance of 808 right here. Add all those together, you get 4278, which is one of the Phoenix years of a destruction. It is divisible by 138. It doesn't matter how you do it. Over and over and over, it is self-referencing. And this is just one chart. I got many. It boggles the mind. It absolutely boggles the mind. All these are Phoenix numbers. Sir Flinders Petrie did not know the Phoenix chronology when he published these distances. He didn't know this material. He didn't even know these were attached to historical events. Didn't know. Here's the subterranean chamber. Look at that. Not only is the ceiling 552 inches in width, but the ceiling is exactly 11.5 feet high. 11.5 feet high is exactly 138 inches. You can't make this shit up. The distance of the entire subterranean level, the chamber plus the tunnels, the entire distance is exactly 1,000 plus 414 cursed earth, divisible by 138. So the ceiling of the subterranean chamber is exactly 1,070 inches underneath the pyramid's foundation level. That's 1,070. So if you take the length of the subterranean level and the depth of the subterranean level and add them together, you get 2,484 inches. Again, you can't make this shit up. I cannot manufacture this data. I can only find it and convey it. I can't make it up. It's too widely published. 2,484 right there, plus the ceiling. 552, self-referencing. It gives us 3,036 inches again. Can't make it. Here's another pattern. There's just so many of them. There's so many of them. It's just astonishing, really is. These are actual distances. I'm gonna show you some more. So with the capstone in place, the pyramid is 5,814 inches. That's the height. But if you take the horizontal distance of the most prominent feature, which is the Great Step the Great Step foundation that goes all the way into the King's Chamber, from the Great Step, which is the center of the pyramid, to the King's Chamber wall, it is 534 inches. If you take those 534 inches and add them to the height of the pyramid when it's capstone in place, you have 6,348 inches. Why is that important? Why? 6,348 inches is the exact amount of time between the Adam and Eve Genesis reset, which was year 1 of the pre-flood world, 3895 BC, all the way to 2178 AD, when there's total systemic reset back to Genesis. You can't make this stuff up. These are Petri's measurements as well. Bunch of Phoenix numbers in there he didn't even know. I'm just going through these right now, showing you. Even, listen, look at this. Without the capstone in place, the Great Pyramid is 5,448 inches. It's right here. This is without the capstone. This picture here, what you're looking down on is the square foundation at the top of the pyramid. You are in the air looking down on the pyramid in this deal. This is where the King's Chamber is. When you're looking down on the pyramid, this is the Great Step. This is 534 inches to the King's Pyramid, to the King's Chamber wall. If you add the 5,448 inches of the height of the pyramid to this platform, missing the cornerstone, it is exactly 552 inches short of 6,000 inches. You can't tell me this was not intended by the builders. You can't. These are the dimensions. These are the dimensions going into the King's Chamber. Here's your 534 inches from the Great Step central axis. Here's the slab going all the way back to 534. But the King's Chamber is 204 inches wide. It has a height of 230 inches. It is 412 inches long. Adding them all together, you have 1,380. You have 1,380 inches. 138 times 10. Here's the King's Chamber looking from a different perspective. You have a 230-inch height. 238-inch height. But going into the chamber requires you to pass over a limestone block that's 126 inches. The rest of this is granite. 126 plus 230 230 height, and the distance of the limestone block multiplied is 2,898, or 4140 times 7. This is 414 times 70. Like I said, everything is self-referencing. Here is the 412-inch length of the King's Chamber times 204. What's 204? 204 is the distance between the Great Step right here, the central axis Great Step, and the axis to the well pit. This goes all the way to the well pit. It's 204 inches between them, between the two axes in the Great Pyramid. 412 times 204 times 230, the height of the structure, is 19,331,040 cubic inches, or 552 times 35,020, or 5,520 times 3,502. The importance of 204 cannot be overstated, as you'll see. So I think that's all those. Now I'm going to share my screen to show you what you just saw in those charts. I can't show them to you at the same time. I'm too tech retarded to figure out even how to open two screens at the same time without messing everything up. So what you just saw, every number you see in blue is not only a distance in time between two reset events in world history, but is also a definitive measurement in either feet or inches inside the Great Pyramid. As you saw, 1656 inches is the height of the Great Slab. It is exactly 138 feet. 2760 inches is 230 feet. These are different measurements in the Great Pyramid, all in the same area that provide that 2760. I showed you the 4554 inches, which is 379.5 feet. It is exactly 1518 times 3. 1518 is the same number as 3036. So 3,036, which is 253 feet, is 1836 plus 1,200. That's grand gallery measurements. 3,036 is 1518 and 1518, all divisible by 138, all in the historical record. 1518 inches is 126.5 feet. That's the passage axis conjunct. Here is oh, wait a minute, I got more charts for this, don't I? Yes, I do. I think I do. Oh, I just showed you the charts. Yeah, I'm losing my mind. So the descending passage is 3,036 inches, 1518 plus 1518. It is 4,140 inches at its mean. What it means at its mean is Petri found there was 3 different measurements for the whole descending passage. One on the right, one on the left, and then the mean was in the middle. The one on the right or the left was 4,134 inches. The one on the far side is 4,146 inches. Petri noticed that the floor joint at the bottom of the deal was slanted intentionally. It was a part of the design. Doesn't know why. Well, 4,146 inches on one side and 4,134 inches on the other side means the mean is exactly 4,140 inches, which is 345 feet. So in the pyramid, we have the distance of 524 inches, which is the perimeter, 4,134 inches, which is one of the sides of the descending passage, and the full length of the underground subterranean chamber, 1,414 inches, for a total of 6,072 inches. 6,072 inches is precisely divided by 138. The 144th course is located at 4,140 inches above the foundation of the pyramid. So 345 feet above the foundation of the pyramid is the 144th course of blocks. 144, 12 times 12. It's the cycle within a cycle. It is in the Fibonacci series. It is a golden proportion number. So the subterranean chamber is 11.5 feet, which is 138 inches. The roof is 46 feet, which is 552 inches. Oh, I need to show this chart for this data here. You need to see this chart. So I'm going to read it to you first. The subterranean chamber has a perfect 670 inch measurement. So if you take 670 and divide it by 5, which is 1.618, the golden proportion, it becomes 414.0. Meaning 670 is the same number in another dimension of arithmetic as 414. This is exactly 55.8 feet. Also note that Nostradamus wrote, many will die before the phoenix dies. Until 670, his dwelling shall endure. What's the dwelling of Phoenix? It's the sky. The sky we have today is going to collapse in 2040. So let me show you that chart on 670. I don't want you to take my word for it. Let me go find this chart. I got it right here somewhere. 670. You need to see this. Oh, that's why I had that chart in there that's why. All right. There it is. The floor joint at the bottom, at the terminus of the descending passage, the floor joint to the back wall of the underground chamber, the well pit chamber, is 670 inches. So while the ceiling width is 552 inches, the distance from the back of the ceiling all the way to the floor joint is 670 inches, which in another dimension of arithmetic is 414. 138 plus 138 plus 138. Yeah, man, you just can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up, guys. Just can't make this shit up. All right, so now, where are we at? Oh, no, I got to share my screen some more. Stop that screen, share this one. Pyramid seems to bore people. So strange to me how data this compelling, this mind-numbing, would not be interesting to people. Because I haven't even got to the good shit yet. So, all right, so that 1,414 inch length of the whole entire subterranean area is 117.8 feet. So 207 feet is 2484 inches. Where have you seen that number before? This is the subterranean level plus the depth of the subterranean level. It equals 2484 inches. Also note that the ascending passage is 3,361 inches. And if you divide that by pi, 3.14, it becomes 1070. 1070 is the depth of the subterranean level. So again, I got to show you the chart so you know what I'm talking about. Because you got to get it in your mind that these are self-referencing. The Great Pyramid proves by its own self-referencing in other dimensions of arithmetic that its measurements are accurate, or it would never be possible to do these things. So we're going to go with share screen again. Hold on. Hold on. There it is. So where was I at? Petri's measurements. All right. There it is. So let me find the one I'm talking about. No, that's not going to be it. Okay, there it is right there. We'll show this one. Just for this one, I got to share my screen again. That's how important it is. This is right here. Petri noticed that the roof being 1836 inches to this point here would be 3,360 inches. That's 3,000 plus 360. It's a 1-inch variance from 3361 because the great step, the central axis of the pyramid, is 1815 inches to the joint here at the top of the ascending passage, which is another 1546 inches to the central axis conjunct. So the floor distance is 3,361 inches. So the ceiling distance is 1 inch difference than the floor distance. 3,361 inches. If you take that distance from the passage axis conjunct all the way to the central axis, this is the apothegm. If you take that distance of 3,361 right there and you divide it by pi, you get 1070, which was right here. Let's get back in here. You get 1070 right here. The ascending passage is 3,361 inches, and divided by pi becomes 1070, the actual depth right here of the subterranean chamber. Also, if you take we talked about this 5,814 inch height with the capstone placed, with the 534 inch length of the great slab, is 6348 inches. 6348 is 138 times 46. Also, the 5814 inch height with the capstone place minus the 846 inch height of the Queen's Chamber passage is exactly 4968 inches. Do you see how self-referencing it's going to continue over and over from all different types of analysis? You're going to be left with numbers that are always divisible by 138. Queen's Chamber passage floor is 4968 inches. Let me show you what that looks like in a chart so you'll understand what I'm talking about. I got a chart that will show that one too. All right. So you see up here, the height is 5814, 5814, 5814. The height with the capstone, top apex, is 5,814 inches tall. But the Queen's Chamber floor line right here is 846. It's 846 to the floor line. This is the foundation of the pyramid, 846 inches to the floor line of the Queen's Chamber. So what we're talking about here is the height of the pyramid at the top, all the way to the floor of the Queen's Chamber, is precisely 4,968 inches. One of the major numbers we saw in blue in the historical record and in the references of Dr. Barry Wormkessel and in the measurements of Sir Flinders Petrie. Like I said, it's always self-referencing. Whoever built this structure intended for all of this. This is not accidental. All right, so now I'm going to go to a whole nother chart. We're almost to the fifth data set. We're almost to the final and fourth data set. So now, what this is, I'm going to the height of the structure. I've already done the height of the structure. Now chart 7 and 8. King's Chamber, the Great Step. All right. Okay, so I got these charts numbered. I just need to find them. All right, so we're going to go look at these now. Share my screen. All right. So in the King's Chamber to the Great Step, this is profound what I'm about to show you. You see, here's the Great Step of the pyramid. This is the central axis of the Great Pyramid. Here's the dead center of the Great Pyramid. 0 degrees longitude, 0 degrees latitude of the pyramids, right here, where my little icon is. Straight over here is the central axis dividing the Great Pyramid in half. It is perfectly lined with a 34-inch high step. This is the ramp of the Grand Gallery that comes up. This is the step. Once you step up here, you're in a little antechamber. There's a tunnel. You got to bow down to get in the tunnel. Here's the antechamber with the locks. Here's the tunnel that goes into the King's Chamber. The entire length of this is 534 inches. You need to remember that. This is it right here. Here's the Great Step, 34 inches high. Here's the central axis of the entire monument. The Great Step is 126 inches. It's a limestone block, 126 inches. But there's almost no joint. It's so perfectly put together. It continues on. This is granite all the way back to here, which is 534 inches. Just needed to show that to you. I'm about to move on. That 534 inches is critical. It's actually absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I will, real fast. We're almost done. We don't have much longer. This isn't going to go 3 hours. All right. I got the biggest bombs to drop on you. The end of the video. So real quick, I'm just going to go through these real fast just to show you that it doesn't matter if you're measuring in inches or if you're measuring in feet. They're still Phoenix numbers. This is 138 feet. Here's 230 feet, which would be Phoenix numbers in inches. 379.5 feet is exactly in inches divisible by 138. Here's more measurements. 153 feet, Grand Gallery, and 100 foot. Exactly 100 foot from the foundation. 253 feet. 253 feet in inches is perfectly divisible by 138. 126.5 feet from the passage axis conjunct to the perimeter of the pyramid. 126.5 feet divided by inches is perfectly divisible by 138. Here's the 253-foot distance from the central axis conjunct to the floor joint at the descending passage, the end of the descending passage tunnel. 253 feet in inches is perfectly divisible by 138. Here's the full length of the descending passage at 345 feet from the floor entry to the end floor joint mean descending passage right here. Descending passage terminus is unique in that one side measures 4,134 inches. The other side is 4,146 inches, with a mean being exactly 4,140. That's 345 feet. In inches, it is perfectly divisible by 138. 345 feet to the 144th course of blocks. Golden proportion, 144. 345 feet in inches is divisible by 138. Subterranean chamber mean height is 11.5 feet, which is 138 inches. Subterranean chamber ceiling width is 46 feet, 552 inches. Subterranean chamber entry to the chamber back wall is 55.8 feet, divisible in inches by exactly 138. Subterranean chamber level length is 117.8 feet. In inches, it is divisible by 138. Subterranean chamber ceiling to pyramid foundation level is 89.16 feet, divisible by 138. Subterranean chamber level length, we went through that. Oh no, you got to add these together. I'm sorry. Subterranean chamber level length and this length together is 207 feet. 207 is half of 414. But 207 feet in inches is divisible by 138. Total height of the pyramid at 484.5 feet, right here, plus the length of the slab at 44.5 feet is 529 feet exactly, perfectly divisible in inches by 138. The total height of the pyramid at 484.5 feet minus the 70.5 feet here to the ceiling of the Queen's chamber is 414 feet exactly. Of course, in inches, it's divisible by 138. Can't make this shit up. So, your first data set was the historical record, and it shows a series of numbers that are all divisible by 138. Your second data set was 11 references from historical texts and 2 from a scientist that shows definitive periods related to astronomical phenomena, all divisible by 138. Your third data set was the scientifically accepted measurements, rectilinear measurements in the Great Pyramid are phoenix measurements in multiple dimensions of arithmetic. That's your third data set. Now we're going to go to the fourth data set. And I got to show you some charts. It's chart time. All right. It's fourth data set. You see right here, central axis of the Great Pyramid, 34-inch high step, 534-inch distance here of the slab, the foundation slab at the center of the pyramid. So this is like 0 degrees for the Great Pyramid, this great step. It is 0 degrees. But 534 is not, it's a very interesting number for a couple of reasons. First of all, Enki, Enoch, Vulcan, Sarid, whatever you want to call him, he appeared in the year 3439 BC in a Nemesis X event. It was the 60th year tertiary field of a Nemesis X event. 3439 BC is very well attested in the Archaics research. You guys know what I'm talking about. 3439 BC is when the Anuna appeared by ship and they brought civilization. It was after a massive cataclysm when 1/3 of the entire human race died. This is all in the Archaics data. 3439 BC, when Enoch appeared and Enki appeared, Vulcan, Oannes, Sarid, he has many names in history. When he appeared and brought civilization to a post-reset society, that was 3439 BC, which counts down exactly 534 years to 2909 BC, when the Great Pyramid construction began. So this is I'm probably going to show it to you in a chart, but this is 534, 534 inches being 534 years. Again, we see the 534 distance, but now we see the 204. We have a reference to 204 here. This is the width of the king's chamber, but it's also the distance between the two axes. Here's the central axis conjunct for the whole pyramid. But there's another axis. It's an axis to the underworld. It is an axis that goes straight down the middle of the well below the pyramid. It's right here. That's this dotted line. It goes all the way down to below the pyramid. See that dotted line? It goes all the way down to the well right here. It is 204 inches from the central axis of the Great Pyramid. So this is where it gets even stranger. There's the 534-inch distance of the Great Slab. The Great Slab is 1656. It's a foundation that is 1656 inches or 138 feet above the foundation of the Great Pyramid. Now, 534 plus 3361 inch distance right here provides us the number 3895. Many of you already know 3895 is year one of the pre-flood world. 3895 BC is on the 138-year periodicity of the Phoenix. It is year one of the book of Genesis. Year one of the 1656 years of the pre-flood world. That's 534 plus 3361. You can get your phones out and you add it up yourself. You can't make this stuff up. 3361 plus 534 is 3895. So we have a calendrical reference here, but even more so, this gets deeper because the number 534, if you were to multiply it by 5, take out your phones and do it. 534 times 1.618. That's 5, the golden proportion. It is exactly 864.0. 864 is foundation of time. It is the number that links seconds, minutes, days, hours, months, and years. I've showed charts on the number 864. It is published in my book, Anunnaki Homeworld. 864 is the foundation of the Sumerian sexagesimal system. It is divisible by 144. It is the number 432 plus 432. It is divisible by 144, 72, and 108. 864. So this is no arbitrary distance. 534 inches in another dimension of arithmetic is the number for foundation of time. 864. But if you divide it, if you divide 534, don't multiply it. If you multiply 534 by 5, you get 864.0, which means it's exact. If you take 534, which is the foundation here of the king's chamber where the empty sarcophagus is on, which represents the idea of Ark, something that holds something, protects it in a holy place. 534 divided by 5, 1.618, is 330.0 exactly. Exactly. That's an interesting number, especially considering right here. If you take 534, I'm going to do it on my calculator right now. 534 if you take 534 and divide it by 5, you get 330.0, which is another measurement. It's another measurement in inches right there on the slab for 534. Not in another dimension of arithmetic, which shows 330, but if you take 534 inches, the length of the slab, and just subtract it by 330, you're left with 204. 204 is the width of the king's chamber. Even the slab's own dimensions identify it as self-referencing a perfect measurement. The slab confirms the measurement of the king's chamber and where it's located. So if you take 534, the distance here, and divide it by 5, you get 330.0. But if you take 534 and just subtract it from that 330, you get 204 inches, which is the width of the king's chamber. But it's also something else, which I'm going to show you. But for this exercise, you continue 534 divided by 5 to produce 330.0. But don't stop there. On your phone, divide it again. Just hit the divide again, or hit the equal sign again, and it's going to divide that 330.0 by 5 again, and the number you're going to get is 203. 203 is the number of levels of stone in the Great Pyramid to the flat top. If you divide it again, don't change anything, just hit the equal sign again. If you divide it again, you get 126.0. Let me show you what just happened. I'm going to eliminate that. And now I'm going to show you what that just did. Okay. That's not the one. I'm going somewhere else. I'm looking for a king's chamber. Thought I had it. I'm looking for a king's chamber picture. Oh, there it is right there. Good. All right. So we'll share this one. So the entire length of this whole entire foundation, which is 1656 inches above the foundation of the Great Pyramid, this being the foundation to the important chamber, the chamber of the empty box. The entire length is 534 inches. 534 divided by 5, 1.61, provides us 330.0. But 330 minus the 534 provides us 204 inches, which is the width of this chamber, the king's chamber. But if you divide it by the 204 by 5 again, it produces 126.0. Perfect, which is the exact measurement of the limestone block. Where the hell did I go? Here's the limestone block. 126 inches of limestone before the granite starts. I'm not going to pretend to know what that means. I'm not. I'm just telling you that it's all self-referencing. In the arithmetic, everything is self-referencing, even in other orders of arithmetic. So let's see. I think that was it for that one. Get back to my So you saw the 534 minus 330 is 204, the width of the king's chamber. 204 times 5, 1.618 is 330.0. Now, another chart to show you. When's Jason going to get to the point? When's he going to drop these bombs on us? Let's see here. I should have numbered these files. I'm looking for the width of those charts. Oh, here it is. Oh, I found it. Bam, bam. All right. This is what I was looking for. So you can see here, here are 3 different references to the number 204. The number 204 inches is the width of the king's chamber. But even more so, it's also the width of the queen's chamber. It's also the distance between the central axis conjunct, which is where the great step is right here. You can see it. The great step divides the pyramid in half, goes right down the queen's chamber in the middle, and it is precisely 204 inches from the well pit access below the pyramid. The central axis for the well pit is 204 inches from the central axis of the entire pyramid. That's 204 here. It's a 204 width of the queen's chamber. It's a 204 width of the king's chamber. 204 inches is 17 feet, each one of them. So the number 204 is very, very important to the architects of the Great Pyramid. 17 feet being 204 inches. So I got to show you my text because it's almost unbelievable. Like I said, man, I'm not interested. People email me all the time, man, trying to get me on board with this and that on different pyramid research. I really think people are trying to pull me out and lead me astray and offer me all kinds of things to go in the wrong direction. Listen, if your pyramid theory does not take into consideration the vast amount of mathematical data that I'm showing in this video and how it comports with the historical record, and every bit of it is verifiable with source materials, verifiable with a calculator, and you can even verify it in other dimensions of arithmetic, then F off. Your theory of the Great Pyramid doesn't mean shit until you can incorporate this data. It's simple as that. I hate to be rude about it, but I'm not going to be ignored either. This information cannot be ignored in order to push your pet theory about the Great Pyramid. I'm not trying to hear it. So 204 times 3 chambers is 612 inches. Follow this. You see that number 612. You've seen it recently in my Exodus videos. 612 inches is 51 feet. 51 degrees is the surface angle of the Great Pyramid. It's the angle of the pyramid. 4 great surfaces of 51 degrees is 204. Remember Ezra? Ezra said that he wrote 204 books about the past, present, and the future. Yeah, 204 books. Enoch was said to have written 366 books. But 366 books, the books are the courses of the pyramid. Each one's a book of information. A book is a container of knowledge. That's what it is. 366 books of Enoch is merely the distance between the present height of the Great Pyramid at 5,448 inches, and 366 inches higher is the future height of the Great Pyramid when the chief cornerstone is put back in place, because that would make it 5,814 inches. And if you just subtract 366 books of Enoch from 5,814 inches of the pyramid height, you get the present height that we have today of 5,448 inches. So this is the structure. Apothem is 612 feet. This is the distance from the perimeter all the way to the top if the cornerstone was in place. That's the apothem. It's the sloping distance. I'm not the one that measured this. It is 612 feet, which is exactly 7,344 inches, which is 2448 times 3, a number of cataclysm and Exodus. We've been through this many times. 7,344 years is the entire timeline from 1 Anno Ner to 2106 AD, which is the 204th year since the last Phoenix date in 1902. The Great Pyramid with its capstone is 204 courses of masonry. Further, the number 2448 is 204 times 12. 12 is the number of testimony. The number 10 is the pyramid number. It's also known as the tetractys. And 204 times 10 is 2040. Can't make this shit up. Everything is so self-referencing. So now I got a chart to show you. Man, I always get hungry doing all this talking. My stomach just growled. Man. Need to stretch too. All right. So I might need to get to the right file. Let me find out what file I'm supposed to be in. Oh, it's a juicy file. Juicy file here. All right. So this is the end. This is toward the very last. This is the end of the presentation. I got like 10 charts to show you. No, I don't. I got 8 charts to show you. Maybe 9. But the first data set was the Phoenix chronology. I didn't date any of those events, and I sure didn't make up any of that data. I pulled it from all different sources. The first data set shows that the history of the world is punctuated by resets that are patterned in sequences of 138. Now, the second data set was 11 different sources that showed these same numbers patterned in history were known to our predecessors. Third data set, the same exact series of numbers are all found in the Great Pyramid in its rectilinear dimensions as measurements done by a leading Egyptologist in the world, still scientifically accepted. That's 3 data sets that all show the same numbers. So using those 3 data sets, we produce a 4th data set. The very measurements of the Great Pyramid, if it's all related to the foundation of time, and if the Great Pyramid is a time capsule, an ark that preserves the past, present, and the future, as the Enochian traditions show, then let's apply dates to these measurements and see what we find. Because if we start with 3373 BC as being the back wall of the king's chamber, if we start with that date, 3373 BC by Americanologists and Mesoamerican scholars is the start date of the ancient Olmec calendar, which were the creators of the Mayan long count calendar. 3373 is the beginning of Olmec reckoning. It's an ancient American calendar. However, it became an American calendar with the Maya. But what most people don't realize, because they haven't done the research or seen the research, there is an overwhelming amount of data that the Olmecs were Shang dynasty outcasts. They were Chinese. And 250,000 Chinese in 1135 BC were ousted from their dynasty. The mandate of heaven had changed at the same time in the Atlantic that Atlantis was destroyed and the Sea Peoples Federation was dissolved. 3373 BC represents an ancient Asian time system. 3373 Olmec. Yeah, we have a future video coming too about the Olmecs, showing you that the Olmecs, the jade trade, all of that, they migrated into the Yucatan, but they were from China, and the proof is everywhere. I'm not the only one that says it. There's whole books about the Shang dynasty Olmecs. So it's only after centuries of being here that they integrated with the local Native American Indians and became the Maya. So 3373 begins an ancient Asian calendar. And if you look, we have 408 years right here to the limestone slab. Here it is. It's 408 inches of granite to the limestone slab of 126 inches to get the full 534 inches. So that 408 inches lands us in 2965 BC. 2965 BC in the Genesis narrative is the year 930 Annus Mundi. 930 is 138 plus 792 of the Nemesis X. 2965 in the traditions that we have today, Adam died. And when he died, the sun darkened. It's a Phoenix phenomenon reference. 126 inches later is the year 2839 BC. The central axis of this calendar is 2839 BC, the birth of Noah. It's on the 600-year Anno Nur chronology. The birth of Noah, which was actually the birth of a new race, entered into the construct. This is what the Dead Sea Scrolls tell us about Noah. Noah was the representative of a new race that didn't look anything like the Adamu. 2839 BC is represented right here on this measurement. And we go 3,360 inches all the way down to the passage axis conjunct to 522 AD, when Phoenix and Nemesis X both appear in the same year. Do you see how this is self-referencing? 522 AD start. I got whole videos on this year. 522 started the Dark Ages. The events of this year are the reason the Roman Catholic Church rewrote the calendar to create the Anno Domini calendar that you and I live in today. It's exact measurement, 522 AD. 522 AD is precisely 1,518 inches or years to the perimeter, 2040 AD. An ancient Chinese calendar ends 2040 AD. Can't make this shit up. I'll drink to that. Oh, I'm not hating on the Chinese. I'm saying I'll drink to the fact that it's a truth bomb. Next. Oh, 3195 BC. I can't remember. I got to look at the AM date real quick. Hold on. I got most of these memorized. 3195 minus 3895. Oh, okay. 700 Annus Mundi. Okay. In the Jasher and rabbinical timelines, 3195 BC was the execution of Cain. Remember, Cain slew Abel. This is the year 700 Anno Mundi. It is 3195. Cain went with outsiders. Remember, he went and lived among outsiders. He was scared. He even told God, hey, man, what's to stop them from killing me? And this is where Genesis kind of reveals that Adam and Eve weren't the only people around. There were other people too, post-reset people, other races and other cultures. And Cain was scared, so Cain was given a mark that every man saw Cain would know who he was and fear to kill him. But in his 700th year, according to the narrative, in his 700th year, he was executed. He was killed, shot by an arrow by somebody. This is 3195. 3195 is the height of the king's chamber. 230 inches or years down is the death of Cain's father. 930 AD, again, a reference to Phoenix and Nemesis X. 2965 BC, Adam died. The sun darkened. Phoenix reference. Also, it is a reference to both Phoenix and Nemesis X because the year 930 Anno Mundi, 930 is 138 plus 792. Add the 534 inches of the foundation of time slab right here, and we get to 2431 BC. It's not squared. The reason it's not squared is because we don't know what happened that date. But 2431 BC, adding the 1814 inches to here, first of all, adding the 1814 inches to the 1546 inches, this is 3,361 inches of the entire length of the chamber, gives us 930 Anno Domini. In 930 Anno Domini, we have the Kaaba is raided and the contents are stolen from Islam. Medina and Mecca were all laid waste, and they were attacked. This is 930 AD. It is the desecration of a holy area. But what do we have here? We have 1814 to the terminus of the Grand Gallery, which is exactly 340 inches to the height right here, provides us 957 BC, when the Egyptians sacked the temple in Jerusalem. Pharaoh Sheshonk, I believe. So the 340 inches at the bottom would be 617 BC, when Nabonassar, when the Babylonians sacked Jerusalem. So from 930 AD, which was the sack of the Kaaba in Medina or Mecca, 930 is 1,110 inches to the year 2040. 2040 is not just the Phoenix phenomenon date, but 2040 would also be probably the sack of a major world religious center in all the pandemonium and chaos. So we have the Great Slab at the bottom. Man, why does it always do that? At the bottom, from the foundation of the Great Pyramid to the surface of the foundation of the 534-inch stone is 1,700 inches. You have to understand what the difference is the reason this says 1,656 inches on a bunch of other charts is because it only measures to the very bottom of the slab. The underside of the slab of this foundation is 1,656 inches to the underside of the Great Pyramid on its mean foundation. The 1,700 inch measurement is to the top of the slab, where you walk on to get into the King's Chamber, is 1,700 inches. But the Grand Gallery terminus at the Great Step right here is precisely 340 inches to the ceiling of the Grand Gallery. If you add this vertical to this vertical, you get 2040. Just adding the two verticals, 2040. Again, the 204 width of the King's Chamber, or you can go with the 204 width of the Queen's Chamber, or you can go with the 204-inch distance between the central axis and the well pit axis, the well pit axis that goes far beneath. I would go with the well pit axis one for this one, because the well pit axis is attached to the 1836 length of the ceiling of the Grand Gallery. So the ceiling of the Grand Gallery plus the 204 inches between the central axis and the well pit axis is exactly 2040. Here's the entrance of the Great Pyramid. From the perimeter right here to the entrance is 808 sloping. This is sloping distance inches. This is apophthegm right here, 808 inches, but it's 1,110 inches to the central axis conjunct, which is 176 inches from the foundation of the pyramid. Going back down to the foundation, it is 1,518 inches all the way back to the perimeter. You see all that? So this entire deal right here, plus the 666 inches of the height of the entrance itself, adding them all together, provides you 2040. There's so many measurements here. 1,110 inches plus 666 inches right here. 1,000. This whole angle is exactly 1656. Adding all these together provides you 2040. Let's see. We already saw this one with the Olmec. This is just a different way of showing it. There's all kinds of different ways to show it. This is 3373 BC. This is the Olmec calendar to the end of the Chinese timeline in 2040. It's a different way of showing it. It's showing it in reverse, actually. 1518 to perimeter is 2040. I don't want to re-show that. So here's going backwards. 2965 entrance of the pyramid. 2965 is 9:30 a.m. Adam dies. 9:30 is 138 plus 792, representing both Phoenix and Nemesis X. Counting 1,110 years to the central axis conjunct right here from the death of Adam and the sun darkening is 1855 BC. 1855 BC is the year 2040 Annus Mundi. Can't make this stuff up. 1855 BC is 2040 Anno Mundi, but it's still self-referencing, because if you go from 1855 BC up to 3,360 years to the central axis conjunct and add the 534 years of the Great Slab, you get 5,934, which 5934 Anno Mundi is 2040 AD. It is self-referencing. It's cross-calendrical parallels inside the rectilinear measurements of the Great Pyramid. Enoch ascends into heaven and disappears, architect of the Great Pyramid, in 2909 BC. This is his 365th year. The perimeter of the pyramid, going up 808 inches to the entrance, is 2101 BC. 2101 BC, going down the full length of 4,146 inches of the descending passage, is exactly 5934 AM, 2040 AD. Whoever built this structure wanted us to find these things out. They wanted us to know. So I got one final chart to show you. I knew I was going to keep it under 3 hours. At least I hope I am. Let's see here. One final chart to show you. Here's Sir Flinders Petrie's measurements. But I want to draw your attention to the central axis right here. Here's the central axis of the Great Pyramid, the Great Step. It is 4,008 inches all the way to the entrance of the pyramid. The reason I want to draw your attention to that is because now that you've seen it, I can show you the very end of this presentation. So the entire Phoenix chronology spans from 4309 BC to 2178 AD, this being 6486 years. In the pyramid, if you take 6486 years and you divide it by 1.618, you get 4,008. That's the pyramid distance from the center of the pyramid to the perimeter, to the exit, to the exodus. You get 4,008. That's the entire Phoenix chronology from beginning to end. 6,486. The entire Phoenix chronology is about exiting the construct. That's my presentation, guys. I'm done. If you don't understand or see the significance of everything I've shown you, there's nothing I can do to actually convey to you the importance of this data, how impossible it is to fabricate all this information. If any one thing is wrong, it's all wrong. So yeah, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Make sure I hit these charts. I'm looking at some. So share screen. I'm going to share my screen one more time. So as inconceivable as it is, the rectilinear dimensions of the Great Pyramid are in feet and inches. And in feet and inches, they show this calendar right here, which is a totally separate series of data sets that have nothing to do with the pyramid. And yet, whoever built the pyramid knew the history. They knew the past, they knew the present, they knew the future, and they encoded it all. And they made sure that you and I would not misinterpret what was being laid out. They made sure. How did they make sure? Because they made sure that in other dimensions of arithmetic, it would be self-referencing. So this is the Archaics chronology. This is the 7,344 years of the Archaics chronology, starting in 5239 BC with the Nemesis cataclysm. And in the 930th year, right here, 4309 BC, begins the Phoenix timeline. Nemesis doesn't make its first appearance till 3439 BC, the first appearance of Enoch in the Anuna. That's my presentation. The Great Pyramid is the original Ark. And everything else, the Ark of Noah, the Ark of the Egyptians, the Ark of Ra, the Eye of Sekhmet on Ra. Remember, the Eye of Sekhmet is the phoenix. Sekhmet is the goddess of the resets, the calendar. Sacred to her was the phoenix palm. All of this is in my other presentations. Sekhmet is also a representation of Nemesis. She does hold scales. She brings about balance and order. That's it. And lastly, I will drink to that. Well, we got some really good and compelling. Not everything's calendrics. But my last 2 or 3 videos were around calendrics, and I do have another calendrics video coming up, going even deeper on the Ark concept in 2448. Oh yeah, we're going real deep on that. But we have other videos too. I'm about to do a video on giants, a video on the Voynich manuscript. Going to do another like 2026 type video talking about different stuff. Going to do a video on crop circles and agroglyphs. I got all kinds of plans, man. You already know. I'm going to read the chat. Squirrel Sniper, always read the chat. I'm going to get me out a shot or 2, maybe 3 of one of my spirits, and I will sit here and go through the chat, and I'll laugh and giggle, and I'll cuss some of you out, and you'll never know it. But I go through the chat every. I've never not gone through my chats. It might take a few hours. I might do it later tonight, but I'm gonna go through the chat. Promise you that. But that is my presentation, guys. I did keep it under 3 hours. I've only been gone. This is my 8th day. I only stayed gone 7 days, but it almost killed me. It's all right. So yeah, it's now you can understand why I'm so recalcitrant at incorporating other people's material into my own. I'm not with it. I'm not with it. Over and over and over, I've been led astray. If something really sounds good, I'm just not with it. When my intuition is screaming at me that something is wrong, like Professor Zhang, the dude that just exploded, I don't give a damn that he's been doing videos for a year and a half. Yeah, that's fine. But the man exploded in the past 40 something days or something, and now he's like appearing everywhere. And you know what? I'm not. Everything about my being is telling me to stay away from that. That's not what it appears to be. Professor Zhang, or whatever his name is, yeah, he operates out of Beijing. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. Something's very wrong here, and I've been pretty accurate about these things when my intuition is telling me to. Especially with all the people trying to defend him in my chat on X. So many people, so many bots, and so many channels like vehemently. It's like a whole warehouse full of a bunch of bot leash on you. Yeah, that right there. Methinks thou doth protest too much. Yeah, there's something wrong. Anybody that gets that level of defense from the community, yeah, he seems to be an op. And I'm probably going to talk about him more in the future. But right now, I'm just leave him alone. Leave him alone. Not trying to hear it. So yeah, that was awesome. Who hung with me? I see Nanny Boo Boo's here. Abuelo Loco, Mr. C, Squirrel Sniper, Nancy, Brad Long. Yeah, man, Jeffrey Bailey, 6'6" ass. Jamie Robbins. Yeah, man. I see you guys hanging around. Nancy and Shell Cracker. Victoria Cunningham. I'm calling out all my mods and some of my long-term. Julian Nelson. Jasmine, there you are. Lacey. Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all hanging around. I might start shit posting on X tonight. I don't know, however I feel. I promise I was here. All right, guys. I'm about to hit this. Oh, Fibonacci Colaci. I'm never going to forget that name. That's terrible. Anyway, you share this, hit that like. And if you're not in Underground, you need to be in there. We go live once a week in Underground and once a week in Cypher. So that's about it. So if you think that these Calendrix videos goes deep into numbers, you should see us in Cypher. Yeah. Date sequence predictive analytics, man. People are using that software to predict all different kinds of things, man. It's a tool. If you know your shit, the software is really going to help you. If you're just playing around and messing around, then you're probably going to get mixed results. But yeah, we got a whole bunch of people that love that group. But yeah, we nerd out. We nerd out on numbers. Let's see. All right. We'll go ahead and hit me an outro. I'm feeling good. That was a pretty good desktop. I don't even know where wait a minute. So if I go here, share screen, image file. Oh, I'm sharing my screen. That's why. Image file. Desktop. Okay. I should go out with a bang. I started with a good one. I don't know. We'll play something. I'm gonna leave the shills alone right now. But I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm gonna play something that's gonna hype me up. Anyway, I love you guys.
Glitch in the code, reset, reload. Are we players or just ghosts in the glow? Woke up in pixels, coffee's on repeat, the same script every morning. Feet hit the street, billboards blinking, buy the dream, play the part. But I'm lagging behind this fabricated heart. They shuffle in lines, eyes like empty chat logs, spitting lines from a database, no real dialogue. Swipe left on the fakes, their smiles pre-rendered, chasing high scores in a world that's surrendered. Feels like I'm grinding for XP in the dark, side quests piling up, but where's the spark? The control is slipping from my shaking hands, matrix rain on the window blurring all the plans. Hear the hum of the servers, feel the lag in my veins, time to crash the system, break these chains. Explode. No more response in your scripted parade. I'm the boss level, babe, unafraid. Level up, darling, don't stay on easy mode. We're the players who burn what the devs never showed. They crowd the lobby, avatars and designer skins, whispering gossip like corrupted pins. You're too glitchy, they say, with their filter-fed grins. But I'm dodging their arrows, collecting my wins. Her against the horde, one life, no sage. Fistful of firewalls, digging my own grave, just to unearth the truth in this pixelated cage, where love's just a loot drop, rage is the wage. I pause the feed, stare at my reflections crack. Is this me or a mod pack? attack. The controller's burning out, thumbs rolling red. Neon veins pulsing, voices in my head. Echoes of the algorithm, conform or delete. But I'm all tabbing out, tasting sweet defeat. Level up in the simulation haze. I'm the glitch in the game, rewriting the plays. NPCs circling like vultures in the code. But I'm hacking the mainframe, overload, explode. No more response in your scripted parade. I'm the boss level, babe, unafraid. Level up, darling, don't stay on easy mode. We're the players who burn what the devs never showed. Ooh, what if I log out? What if the screen goes black? No ice score, no feedback, just the void staring back. These NPCs, they don't bleed, they just respawn and forget. But I remember the crashes, the nights I reset. Her against the waves, surfing the delete key. One more power surge and I'll set us free. No more loading bars, no more game over screen. I'm the dev in the mirror, rewriting the dream. Level up, shatter the simulation glass. I'm the virus they fear, making the pixels crash. NPCs fading out like bad DLC.